Okay, here we are, day 7. This is one I've personally been waiting for. This is one that if you were to ask any professional wrestling fan what their thoughts on this would be, they're going to give you answers. This is not just some I don't know, whatever. I think any legit professional wrestling fan, like someone who still watches or watched at least 5 to 10 years of professional wrestling, is going to have an answer for this topic. And the topic is dream match. Now, I gotta say, I can't just nail it down to one. Like, if I were to nail it down to one, I know my one. But it has to be like a full build up. It couldn't just be the match itself. To me, it means promos, it means vignettes, it means all that kind of stuff. Potential interactions in the ring, no tag team matches involving the two with an eventual meetup or whatever, unless it's like they were partners for a while and then broke up because one of them turned on the other one, and then the vignettes and all that stuff. So there would have to be a full-on storyline. And if I could do just one, I know my one, which will be the last one I talk about because I'm not giving that shit away right now. But there are tons of matches. I've scrounged, scored. I've gone through the internet. I like using all types of vocabulary words. Gone through the internet and looked up other people's ideas for those kind of matches. Those dream matches. And I gotta say, everyone's got an opinion, and I love it. I love it because it also gives you an opportunity to think about matches you never thought about. Like, it doesn't just have to include people from New Japan only against New Japan guys, or like you're going to get that kind of stuff in the G1 anyway. Moxley's over there wrestling people that he'd never wrestled before because he's in the company now. So, but what if he'd never wrestled against, an Adam Page or something like that? Would you want to see something like that? Maybe you would if there was vignettes. And like I said, the whole thing, a whole storyline, not just a one-off match. There are a number of people who I think if you put them in the ring together at the height of their careers, whether it's singles matches or tag team matches, where if you just gave them one match, like just go, no vignettes, no nothing, just go and do it. I think there are a number of people who could tag team in singles who could do that. I think one would be the Steiners against Arn and Tully Anderson. Or Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. God, I'm getting old. I think they would have an amazing match. I think Arn and Tully would definitely cower in fear due to the Steiners' size. I know Arn and Tully probably wrestled against Rick before, as Rick was maybe a member of the varsity club or whatever, but Rick didn't really come into his own until Scott got there, and he really started to blow up as far as getting more notoriety as a tag team. Rick was a television champion before, and then lost it to Rotunda, who then lost it to Sting, who then lost it to Muta, then Arn, yada, 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 yada. Anyway, but that's one of those matches where if you just gave him a one-off, like, go, do your thing. Because you don't really need, for that type of match, you don't really need a lot of build up. You kind of just need a great match. It's nice to have the build up and to have a story and all that stuff, but excuse me, but to have just a one-off match, I think it would work. Like I said, there's other tag team matches that would work too. I think the Hart Foundation, that's Bret and Jim with Jimmy Hart against the Revival. I think that would be a great one-off match. You probably would, because you have personalities in the Revival. You have personality in Jim and in Jimmy. Not so much in Bret. I mean, eventually he grew into that. But at the height of the Hart Foundation, Bret didn't really have too much of a personality other than the sunglasses. He was excellent of execution, I think, right around then too. But he didn't really have like a speaking personality too much. It was mostly Jim and Jimmy. You'd hear Jimmy all throughout the match with the megaphone, and it was great. But I'd love to see a match like that, or the Hearts against the Freebirds, or the Midnight Express. or the Midnight Express of the Freebirds against the Revival, or the Revival against the Road Warriors, or AOP against the Road Warriors, or, like I probably just need to kind of just sit down and do it right now. I'm going to do it right now. I kind of wrote down a list before, and I was like, you know what? There are so many matches that I would love to see. I'd love to see Cena versus Lex Luger. I'd love to see that. That would need some build up. I'd love to see, at the height of their careers, which is why God made video games. Love to see Cena versus Hulk Hogan. Would have loved to see that. Or Cena versus Flair. That would have been a great one. But that would need a build up and a story. I think they would have a great match anyway. But I think because of the characters themselves, one the ultra good guy, one the ultra bad guy, you're gonna need a story. I'd love to see Savage against Tanahashi. Could you imagine Hiroshi Tanahashi and Macho Man Randy Savage in a ring, one-on-one? Could you imagine? I don't even think you could imagine just how great that match would be. Or Kota Ibushi against Seth Rollins right now. I think that'd be great too. Another one of those, you don't need a storyline to have the match, just have the match. But now I got to do the top 5 matches, singles matches, and I'm going to do a top 5 tag team matches that would need promo, storyline, or storyline promos and vignettes, and then the match itself. And hopefully just like a one match, not even like a feud that would last for like a year or two, but like legit just gotta see this match and gotta have the best version of it. Kind of like Okada and Omega had their thing. Granted, it lasted for a while. They had numerous matches, but each match almost like progressively got better and better and better. It's like shifting gears on a stick shift car. So I'm not even, yeah. So basically the last match I'm going to talk about, it's a singles one, and it's one I think everybody wants to see, but I'll start with the singles right now. And I'll do that last one at the very, very end, even after the tag ones. So anyway, top 5. Whew, this is hard. Okay, one for sure I'd want to see would be Shawn Michaels against The Rock. It didn't happen. From the backstory I heard, Shawn Michaels apparently disrespected one of The Rock's family members, grandmother, mother, something like that. And then because of that, The Rock never wanted to work with Shawn. Shawn was kind of an asshole back in the day, and he's admitted that too, that he was kind of an asshole. And so it's not really talked about a whole lot, but that's one of those matches I think that people would really love to see. It would need a backstory, would need vignettes, needs promos. You could even have sneak attacks. If Shawn Michaels would be paired up with the with DX, maybe have The Rock try to get some people to help him, whatever. That would be a great whole 3 to 4 month maybe, and then the blow up at like WrestleMania or something like that. Maybe it's the main event, whatever, it doesn't matter. But as long as it's some kind of stipulation, like you could include a tables match or a TLC match or a Falls Count Anywhere match or No Holds Barred, or I don't want to say a First Blood, but Iron Man, maybe even, it's a long time, and we already saw Shawn Michaels in an Iron Man match, and sometimes those just suck. So I'm not too keen on that one. But definitely would love to see a Shawn Michaels versus The Rock match. Also, another singles match I'd love to see. And this person's going to come on here twice, and maybe I just need to have him be a tie for 4, because I'd love to see Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle in an Iron Man submission match where falls count anywhere. So literally, you can submit anyone anywhere, but it's an Iron Man. So that one would need an hour. I actually simulated what this would look like the other day. Kurt Angle won, and it went from the ring to ringside to the audience to the stage area to backstage. Literally, the game started loading so it could go to backstage, and it was crazy. I don't know what the count was at the final, like if it was 10-7 or 10-8 or whatever it was. I don't know what the score was at all, because something in my game doesn't count those on the screen for me, unfortunately. But because I was simulating it, I didn't actually play it. But anyway, but it was great. It was great to watch it. I was like, holy shit, this match is amazing. And the other match I'd want to see would be maybe a 2 out of 3 falls match between Bret Hart and Eddie Guerrero. Doesn't need to be falls count anywhere, 2 out of 3 falls match, just 2 out of 3 falls. I think they need to do it like how they had matches back in the 90s and the early 2000s where you could be out of the ring for like 2 minutes and the referee's following you around telling you to get back in the ring. Like, do it like that so it ends up kind of being like a no DQ. Like if you pile drive somebody on the table or you smash them through a table, you're not hitting them with the chair, but you're doing all the other stuff. I think that would be great. I think it would be great to see Eddie do a frog splash on Bret on the table. That would be one of the ultimate holy shit, this is awesome chance, and it would be well deserved. Bar none, like wow. I actually just thought of that in my head. Like that would be a great spot. That would be an absolutely great spot. Whew. Okay, I'm 2 spots in. I got my 5 and I got my 4. I think one people would want to see is this is not on my list per se, but one people would want to see would be Stone Cold versus CM Punk. I think the best part of that would be the storyline itself and the vignettes and the promos and stuff. I think that would be the best part of it. I was never a huge fan of CM Punk in the ring. Austin was good in the ring, obviously, after he broke his neck. I forget what year that was. It was obviously before Owen passed because Owen was the one who, pile drove him and broke his neck or whatever. But, shit happens. Accidents happen. But he was not the same wrestler after that. He was still damn good, and I know his career got cut short, I think, because of that, and also maybe just because he was mad about a lot of things as well. But I think that would have been a match that everybody would have loved to see. We did just get a chance to see Goldberg versus Undertaker recently, and I gotta say, that match was shit. That match was absolute shit. We think Goldberg got concussed before he even entered the ring because we heard the pounding on the door. We saw him bleeding from his forehead. And when he got in the ring and he actually had the match with Undertaker, it looked like it was going to end pretty quickly because I think he hit him with a spear or something like that. But it didn't end pretty quickly, but it should have because that match was horrible for as long as we waited for that. Like, we should have had that match before 2004. To be honest with you, maybe even 2005 or 6, but ultimately we would have loved to have that, like during the invasion angle. Of course, that needs to have been wiped from history because the way they did that angle was horrible, but that match should have happened way long ago, and it did not. And it definitely did not serve the people very well. I think a match, my number 3 spot here, as I'm looking at my 2, I'm looking at my 1. Number 3 is kind of hard. Number 3, I gotta say, is kind of hard. There's definitely people would say Andre the Giant and Big Show. I'm probably gonna go with maybe. I gotta think about this for a second. Okay, took me about 30 seconds because I had to start mentioning things out loud to myself, and I was thinking of New Japan Tanahashi, who is one of my favorites, now officially all time. He's in my, as far as performers in the ring. I don't know about his promos. I don't speak Japanese, but his performances in the ring, the high fly flow, his match against AJ, I think it was like 2014 or 15. Great match. Absolutely great match. There's a storyline that involves 2 WWE wrestlers and an AEW wrestler. And this triple threat match needs to happen. It's not going to happen, but this is why God made video games. The Bullet Club started years ago. It was initially led by Finn Balor. When he left for WWE, AJ Styles took over. And when he left for WWE, Kenny Omega took over. And then eventually Cody came in and whatever. I don't even know. I think they're just called the Elite now. And, they're all obviously opening their own business, or opened their own business, pardon me. But the backstory from those 3 and why they would be fighting would be great if they did it right. I think you'd have to let the wrestlers have input. You could listen to the writers as well. Not do a lot of scripted promos. Vignettes could take place. Omega's the cleaner, Balor the demon, Styles the phenomenal one. The phenomenal AJ Styles. There's got to be something you could do with that. I don't know. There's got to be something you could do that would make it so amazing. because I think the three of them in a match for 20 to 25 minutes would probably light the house on fire. That's how good those three are and would be in a ring against each other. I actually, so I play 2K19 and I have a storyline going right now where Paul Heyman leads CM Punk, Owens, Zayn, Cole, Fish, O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Styles, Balor, Omega, the Bucks, Nakamura, Tanahashi, Ibushi, a bunch of guys and gals, including the Four Horsewomen, both sets of the Four Horsewomen, Asuka. So it's like men and women kind of take it like it's like basically it's an insurrection. It's a takeover by Paul Heyman saying that these people need shots at titles and need more matches, and they're not getting them because of the old guys. It's kind of like a takeover from the old regime, and so that's my whole storyline. At the end of it, it's going to be Styles, Balor, and Omega fighting for a championship. I'm not sure what. I don't know what that'll be at WrestleMania. But there's going to start being some breakups and stuff like that coming soon. But I think with that thinking, you could easily do a story like that with those three. There's a lot you could do there because of the history the three of them have, and they've never had a match, the three of them, against each other. We did see AJ and Balor. I think that was that, a year ago? Because I think somebody got injured or something like that, and AJ had to replace him. So AJ faced Finn Balor. Balor won. They both did the too sweet and left. I don't know if we've seen Omega versus Styles or Balor versus Omega. I don't know. I'm sure if it's happened, I probably have it and just haven't seen it, because sometimes the matches are so damn good you just don't even want to watch them. That's just how I feel. I don't know. But anyway, that would be a great one. Ones I'm leaving off now as I get down to my final two. Final one now for the singles, and then I'll get into the tag ones. But Austin Lesnar didn't make it. That would be great. Cena Austin didn't make it. Triple H Macho for Stephanie McMahon reasons. Batista Brock Lesnar didn't make it. Sting versus Ultimate Warrior, that would be great. That would be amazing. Kurt Angle CM Punk, that'd be damn good too. We never saw. Did we see Edge versus Shawn Michaels? I thought we did. This list I'm using here on Ranker.com has Edge versus Shawn Michaels on here as a dream match and a ladder match. Maybe that's what's missing. We never did see Bret Hart versus Edge, or Kane versus Abyss, or maybe even, I don't even know if we ever saw Mankind. I know we may have seen Mick Foley versus Abyss, but I don't think we ever saw Mankind versus Abyss, because Mankind is a WWE creation. This list actually was made it had to be before WrestleMania 32, because Chris Jericho's on here wrestling AJ Styles as a dream match. So that's kind of odd. But anyway, so those are just some of the ones. Like I said, I would have loved to see Cena and Luger. I would have loved to see some of that stuff. But the one big one, two big ones, that's what she said, that people would have loved to see, absolutely storyline, vignettes, and promos, would have been Stone Cold Steve Austin against none other than the immortal Hulk Hogan. And this would be, like I said, at the top of their careers. So Austin before his injury, Hogan before he lost all that weight and stopped taking steroids, the height of his popularity, because by 92, he was getting pulled out of the Rumble by Sid Vicious and thrown out by Ric Flair, and people cheered. Ric Flair lasted, 27 people, and the fans, I think, were over it with Hulk Hogan. And we know Hulk Hogan's backstory as far as how he treated people backstage and all that kind of stuff. He was just a shit dude, but he was on camera. He was an amazing figure, and definitely a company guy. And you have Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was definitely not a company guy. And it would have been great to see how they would do vignettes and promos and storyline for that whole thing, and see a blow off at like WrestleMania. Because remember when Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan first started, had their rivalry, it started from, I think, was it the Royal Rumble? Yeah, it was the Royal Rumble, 1990. They met in the Royal Rumble, and it was like several people got dumped out of the ring, and then all of a sudden it was Hogan and Warrior, and the entire crowd, as I'm thinking about it right now, the entire crowd started standing up like, holy shit, this is about to go down. Like in high school, when this fight's about to happen or you see it happening, you get up and you look and you watch. You're standing in front of short people and they can't see. Tough shit. That's how it was in this arena when Hogan and Warrior were in the ring for the Royal Rumble in 1990. It was amazing. There was so much energy. I can just, in that grainy ass video I saw on YouTube, I could just feel the energy in there because it's so intense. That's what this could be for Hogan and Austin. That's what this could be. It's a one-time thing. They build it up and they blow it off and it's done. You know, they might randomly meet again in a Royal Rumble and people, you know, start to trip out and, you know, get all crazy or whatever. And then maybe someone else will come in and break it up and they start fighting each other or whatever, you know. So you could kind of allude to stuff happening again, but it's never bigger than the first time, because if you do it 2 and 3 more times, it gets kind of old. At least in America, no matter how big the personalities are now with the state of wrestling, I don't think that doing a match between those two people would be that huge, that much. I know it worked for Hogan Andre WrestleMania 3 at SummerSlam 88, which was the tag team match with DiBiase and Macho. And I know they were at Survivor Series. They were at Main Event the following year when Hogan beat Bundy and Andre came in and beat him up. Or no, that was, what was it? Hold on. It was, Main Event when Hogan wrestled Andre. Oh my God. So that was 4. That was the 4th time of them interacting together. There was WrestleMania 5 where, what happened? Or no, WrestleMania 4, where Hogan wrestled Andre, I think, in the beginning. Then there was a double DQ. Then they were both out. And then Hogan beat up Andre towards the end of the Macho DiBiase match. So as big as those guys were, their overall interactions in the ring, probably combined, where the two of them are in the ring and interacting face to face. I'll even include promos and vignettes and stuff, because I think it was actually just promos, no vignettes really, except for maybe like the contract signing for WrestleMania 3. Probably less than an hour and a half. And there's like 6 things that happened, 5 or 6 things. So, and I'm probably overshooting that. I'm sure it's far less than an hour and a half. I'm actually going to say it's probably less than an hour, but it was so huge, just for the two of them in the ring interacting, or in a vignette interacting. Other than that, and I forgot about Piper's Pit, but even those were kind of short. So, I mean, we're talking 2-3 minutes of them interacting, boom, another 2-3 minutes, another time, boom, contract signing, but it's just, there's not a whole lot of time the two of them spent together. So if you do it too much, and because it's Hogan and Austin could go longer, I think it would be too much for people and they get over it. They get sick of it, So that's my number 2 singles match. Now I got to do my top 5 tag team matches. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that if the Road Warriors faced AOP, it would be for the tutelage, for the managerial skills or whatever of Paul Ellering. That's what it would be for. He'd have to stand in a neutral corner and not help either team, or he'd have to be suspended above the ring in a cage, like they did at an NXT TakeOver show, or like they used to do to Cornette, suspend him above the ring in a cage and let him do that. I think that would actually be a really hard-hitting match. To me, it would have to be a tornado tag match with falls count anywhere and no disqualification, no count out. Literally like anything goes match. But Paul Ellering could not get involved, or he's not supposed to get involved, and they probably would end up having him get involved by maybe having him have a chain or some kind of weapon, and he'll drop it down and someone will grab it by accident or on purpose or whatever, and it'll end up in the wrong hands and the other team will win. So maybe he'll try to help the Road Warriors and AOP will end up winning, or he'll try to help AOP and then the Road Warriors win, whatever. I think that would be a great match, an absolutely great match. I mentioned another one earlier. I think if the Steiners wrestled the Horsemen, that would be another one. You wouldn't need a lot of build-up because you just don't. It would just be for a tag team title, and I think they could have it at it would have been like a Great American Bash or Starrcade or something like that. You definitely don't want to do that at a house show because of just how great the match I think could have been. Kind of like Sting and Luger against the Steiners. Like, that was not a house show. That was a huge part of, what was that show? It was Super Brawl 91. Great part of the show. One of the best matches. I sat and counted 20 or so impact / signature moves done between those 4 wrestlers. And of course, Nikita Koloff's character came in and screwed it all up and hit Sting with a chain, and it was meant for Luger, and Sting and Nikita had a feud after that, and that was kind of dumb. But either way, it was like, that match was great by itself. And I think Steiners versus Arn and Tully, maybe they had J.J. Dillon in their corner, that match probably could be, in my opinion, a 4 to 4.5 star match at least. Probably no more than that, because this is not great ring work, but I think because of the story involved and how they could tell the story in the ring and the cheating and all that kind of stuff, it would be really, really entertaining. And I think that's what really matters when it comes down to it, no matter how Dave Meltzer, not dissing him, just saying no matter how he ranks stuff, it's really about how entertaining people are. Some of the highest rated matches, as far as, or I should say viewed matches, aren't highly rated because it doesn't matter. Never mattered. It's about entertainment. Like, if Andre the Giant and the Big Show were to wrestle a match, people are going to watch. Not because it's going to be a great match to watch, like, no, it's because it's 2 fucking huge guys. If Batista and Brock Lesnar were to have a match, it's not going to be like, there's going to be great wrestling. No, it's going to be impact and shoulder blocks and power slams and super suplexes and all that kind of crap. That's what it's going to be, body slams and power slams. It's going to be intense, very intense. And that's what wrestling needs. That's what wrestling really, really needs, is entertainment. That's what they need. Another match, I think, as far as the tag teams go, I did say the Hart Foundation earlier, and I think they would actually have to face, if they were to really make it work, would have to be the Midnight Express. It would be the Midnight Express, that's Sweet Stan Lane, Beautiful Bobby Eaton, and James E. Cornette, right? Against Brett and Anvil and Jimmy Hart. And I think that would be great to see those 2 pipsqueak loudmouth managers, maybe fight at some point. That's entertaining. You're going to have the Anvil, the more powerful of the 4 men. Maybe him going at it with maybe with Sweet Stan Lane, but Brett and Bobby in the ring, the 2 of them, those guys. I mean, the fact that Midnight Express is not in the Hall of Fame yet kind of pisses me off, because I'm like, they really deserve it. Glad the Freebirds got in. Steiners deserve to get in, but Scott Steiner has a big mouth and he hates Stephanie and calls her the C word, and you're not getting in. You're not getting in. That's your own fault. But yeah, I think that would be a great match. How would I have them go over? It would be a 1-fall match, maybe for like the U.S. Tag Team Championships or whatever. It'd be a 1-fall match, and I think I'd probably end up having the Hart Foundation go over in that one. Yeah, I think that's how I'd have that happen. I think Jim Cornette's racket would end up getting used against the Midnight Express. It would be a loaded racket, of course, with Jim Ross on the call, and maybe Brett would hit Eaton or Lane. Maybe he'd hit Lane and they'd pin him, and then Brett could have a feud with Bobby Eaton or something like that. Like, that's how you would kind of just run it for the future, for its course. Some one-off matches, whatever, but that would be a great match as far as I'm concerned. Another match I think that could happen would be, I had to think about this. It took me a couple minutes. Had to look at some other names of tag teams. The Revival against the Bulldogs. I don't think people give the Bulldogs enough credit for their in-ring work. British Bulldog, one of the greatest matches, like one of the biggest pops, I guess, ever. SummerSlam 92, I want to say it was, maybe 91, where he beat Bret the Hitman Hart for the Intercontinental Championship. And I actually heard that, Davey Boy Smith, British Bulldog, was actually drunk that day, or really, really hungover, so Bret had to lead the match the entire way, which I thought was really interesting, because I don't know if I've seen the match in a long time to be able to tell if that was actually happening or if that actually happened. But I think that would have been really interesting. But that match right there between the Revival and them, I think that'd be huge. I think it'd be like I saw the Bulldogs wrestle the Rougeau brothers at SummerSlam '88, I think it was. And there was a lot of near falls, and I got really excited watching that match. And I don't think that match gets enough props. People, like I said, they need to be entertained. Um, and I think the near falls really get people into it, where they are entertained. It helps, you know what I'm saying? Like, Savage Steamboat is the best match at WrestleMania 3, but the match people really, really came to see was Hogan Andre. So even if you were to have the Revival and the Bulldogs wrestle a match, that may not be the match everyone's going to see, but they're going to know that they saw it. You know what I'm saying? They're going to know that they saw it, and they're going to be more impressed with it. While you do need your entertainment, of course, like you could have a match like the Four Horsemen against DX in an 8-man tag match or whatever, which just gets a little much. Or you could have like the NWO against the Shield, or you could have Hogan and Macho against Sting and Ultimate Warrior, or Sting and Ultimate Warrior against the Road Warriors, which would be great too. But as much as I think, like I don't want to just say, oh, just have the match because people just want to see it. Like, I actually want to see a good match. That's why I said Bret and Eddie would be great, and Bret and Kurt would also be great. That's why I had them tied, because I don't. What else can you do? Like, that's supposed to happen. Those matches are supposed to happen. Once again, they may not be the match that everyone goes to see, but it's the match you're going to remember you saw, because it's going to be really, really good, because you have great professionals in there. Matter of fact, I would have loved to see Bret and Macho again. I know they wrestled at Saturday Night's Main Event one year with Macho on on one foot, and Bret also wrestled Steamboat like 86, 85, somewhere in there, before he really, before either one of them were super famous. So I actually would have loved to see that again too, but how many Bret Hart matches can I have? Just have my top 5 Bret Hart dream matches? No, it's not going to work that way. But British Bulldogs Revival, to me, would be absolutely great. Matter of fact, I think you could, at some point, have Dash or Dawson, during the match, sneak away and steal Matilda and take her to the back, and then you get one of the Bulldogs to chase after him. And then while that's happening, the referee's back is turned, and then you have the other Revival member sneak attack the other Bulldog that's remaining. Maybe it's Dynamite Kid that's remaining, or British Bulldog, or whatever. Davey Boy Smith. Maybe hit him with a steel chair or something like that. And the other Bulldog has to try to come back and try to, like, do I save my partner or do I save the dog? What do I do? What do I do? Kind of have that thing going on. So I think that could be fun too. But my number one match that needs to happen, or that dream match, really, I wanted to make it a 3-way, but I don't know if I want to include the New Day in this one. As entertaining as it would be, I think it'd just be better just to have not New Day, the Young Bucks against the Usos. To me, that is a legit tag team match people would actually want to see, between AEW fans, New Japan fans, WWE fans. Like, I don't care who you watch. If someone were to say the Usos are going to wrestle the Young Bucks, obviously it would have to be at a WWE event, because that's where the most eyes are going to be on. You'd watch it, because it's going to be a super kick party. It's going to be a lot of choreography, and it's going to be great to see the in-ring work between those 4 men. I'd love to see that. I absolutely would love to see that. I know, like I said, it would have been fun to see Sting and Ultimate Warrior against the Road Warriors, but that's just going to be a shit show. It's going to be a lot of brawling, and while it's great, but still, I want to see a good match. I don't just want, that's why I didn't pick Goldberg against the Ultimate Warrior. It'd be great for a video game, but reality says that those two were not very good workers. You want to see the Ultimate Warrior against Sid Vicious? Me either. I mean, for the sake of, oh yeah, I saw that, or like, yeah, these are the big guys. You don't want to see that shit at all. You don't want to see Andre and Big Show. Like, you want to see it, but you don't really want to see that. You're going to be mad at the end. It's like watching Goldberg and Undertaker from a few weeks ago. You don't want to see that shit again. You want to see good in-ring work. And you're not going to see that if you just throw some big guys in there and be like, all right, go do your thing. You know one name you haven't heard? Braun Strowman. You know why? He's not a great in-ring worker. He's not bad. He's just not good. He's not good. He needs to develop still, but he's also a big dude. So to have a big dude who's really agile and something kind of takes away from the ability of the other smaller guys who are agile. That's why they don't have Big Show. When he was the Giant, I think they wanted him to stop doing moonsaults, because it's like, if you can do it, it makes it look easy for the smaller guys too. So stop doing moonsaults, or it won't be so special. Yeah, you want to see good quality in-ring matches, and I think that match would be the best match overall for anyone to see between two tag teams that are very similar, but also it'd be great to see. We just saw the Usos against Revival at Extreme Rules, and the Usos didn't take it, but it's a good match. It was worth watching. A surprise Usos match that was really worth watching. It was about 3 or 4 years old when Breezango first started becoming a tag team, and the Usos wrestled them at like not Breaking Ground or Backlash. It was one of those other ones like Battleground, something like that. I think it was like 2016. And for a quick 5 to 6 minute match, not bad. A lot of stuff going on in that one. I think there was another. It may have been the same match, or it was a different match, I believe, where Tyler Breeze kept coming out in different costumes, and the Usos would be on the top rope one time and get ready for a splash, and then Tyler Breeze would roll the other way. Then the Uso would go on the other side of the ring and try to jump from there, and then Tyler Breeze would roll the other way. I remember. I'm assuming the Usos won, but I think that's hilarious. And I'm really distracted right now because I'm on this website, whatculture.com, and it's like 11 fantasy tag matches we'd love to see, or would have loved to have seen. And there's a photo of Lacey Evans, and it's a photo from Extreme Rules, and her ass is literally in my face from when she bent over at the camera. And it's really enticing. So I gotta scroll down. Oh God, there's just sex everywhere on this page. Okay, I gotta get out of here. Anyway, last match. The number one match I think anybody and everybody has wanted to see since the dawn of time is The Undertaker and Sting. I left it last because the closest we ever got to having it was at WrestleMania 31, because Sting only lasted that year. And I was hoping maybe they were going to build to Sting versus Undertaker, but after Sting and his spinal stenosis and his inability to be able to walk after that match with Seth because of his spine just gave out, his neck gave out, which really sucks, and it's a bad way to end a career. Actually, it's really disappointing because the guy was such a good wrestler, great in-ring worker, and just awesome. And at 55 years old to still be doing that stuff is just, I was super impressed. He still got it, absolutely. His match against Triple H was good. It was good. In context, two guys over 45 years old wrestling in the sun in Santa Clara in April. Probably not the best thing you're going to get, but for what it wasn't bad. I actually have gone back and watched it a couple times. Not disappointed any time I've ever watched it. So, because I give it the context, but it also wasn't bad. I've seen matches with, who was it, Charlotte and Lacey Evans recently, and it was just a lot of botches. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Sting Undertaker, this would be great if maybe they were like a surprise tag team for a while, or, Sting came up and was like, hey, I'll tag with you. Like if Undertaker had like some other rivalry going on and it was ending, then Sting comes up and like, hey, I'll tag with you. And then it ends like on Monday Night Raw and the two of them are shaking hands in the middle of the ring. And then maybe after the match, Undertaker clotheslines him. And he's still got like a couple minutes to go. And, he says he's the real dead man, or I don't know, give some kind of reference. and tell Sting to rest in peace. And then you start building from there. You start having the vignettes and the promos and all that kind of stuff. And then have the final blow off at like a WrestleMania and a Hell in a Cell. And, or maybe even you have a previous match at like another pay-per-view or a Raw or something like a month or two before. And they have the match maybe end in like a draw or something. Maybe they're both double DQ'd because they're using weapons. So that's why you have to put it in a Hell in a Cell. So that is a match where you actually have a bit of contact before the big blow off. But you put them in a Hell in a Cell and it's like, this is perfect. Because that's where it's supposed to happen. And considering it should have happened, like if it were gonna have happened, it would have happened 18 years ago when WCW got bought out. You could not have had Undertaker lose, which sucks, but it is what it is. You would have had to have Sting take that loss, but it probably would have been a great match to see Sting do a diving crossbody out of the ring on Undertaker as his back is against the Hell in a Cell. And then the cage, breaks open. They're fighting on the outside. They're fighting up top. There's a lot of things you could have done. That would have been the spot of the night kind of thing. This actually would be, if these 10 matches were on a card, you need at least 4.5 hours to get all this shit in, because it would just be a 3-hour show. Wouldn't cut it. It would not cut it because oh my God, this show would be absolutely amazing. And this could be any event, Sting, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell could be your final match of the night. Guaranteed. Of course, because it's also Hell in a Cell, so if you had another match, you'd have to take it all down and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you definitely would have to have this at the end of the night to close it out. And Undertaker would have to go over maybe with a tombstone pile driver. Maybe Sting would hit Undertaker with a Scorpion Death Drop, and then Undertaker would kick out at 2, and then Sting would just roll over. And as he's getting up, camera pans over, Undertaker sits up, does a throat slash, Sting starts trying to fight, Undertaker fights back, last ride, and then choke slam, and then tombstone. And that's how you end it. And that's how I'm going to end this show. Man, this is the longest one because there was so much to talk about. And this actually makes me really, really happy in my belly. I love talking about wrestling. And tomorrow we're going to talk about my favorite feud. And I'm actually only going to talk about really one in overall. And I actually mentioned it tonight, and I've probably mentioned it a couple other times. But we're going to talk about one feud and how huge it was for wrestling. Now, I didn't see all the feuds and didn't see all the matches in all those years of wrestling in the last 40. There's one feud that I think is the greatest feud of all time because it led to so much over the course of a couple of years and led into other events and feuds. And it was pretty huge. But anyway, tune in tomorrow. KJ from OC on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And I'm out. Thanks.